I'd like to talk about a little town called Martin, South Dakota. It's where I sort of grew up. I had my childhood there, returned there as an adult to be a CNA. Martin is a small town. In fact, it's so small that every conversation starts with, "Guess who's back in town? I seen so and so working at the gas station." Martin is a small town that tries to act like it's a city. And by that, I mean it has all the bad symptoms of a city, like history of racial protesting, drug dealing, police corruption, prostitution, and gangs. So for the gangs, I would say all of these group of kids would walk around and they would walk every inch of that town, every corner. And Martin is approximately about a 2.5 block radius. That's how big it is. So notice I said the word approximately. I don't want nobody getting out the tape measures and shit, trying to measure every edge of the town. I actually feel sorry for most of the kids that walk around in large groups because they think the town is big, but you could actually drive around the whole town in 5 minutes. And they're like, "Well, it's kind of big if you walk around." And I'm like, that's because everything is spread it out, but it doesn't necessarily make it big. Prostitution is at the little casino, and yes, Martin's small, but it has a casino there. You have their prostitutes trying to sell themselves, and if it ain't there, it's at the truck stop. And the truck stop is also a gas station, so you can go get some gas and maybe get some abs. Is one of those small towns that everyone claims that they hate, but nobody ever wants to leave. They're always like, "I can't wait till I get out of this town." And they're still there. I also have childhood friends who are just proud to be from Martin. They'll tell their kids, "Yeah, I grew up in this town." And I'm like, "Shit, that's because you had no choice." In 2011, Martin had its centennial. So it's 100 years old. So imagine that, 100 years of inbreeding. Wow, just fucking wow. So they should just hold up a sign on the outskirts of Martin that says, "Welcome to Martin, where your neighbor is your boss's dad's best friend, town mayor, old school teacher, and second cousin twice removed." Just so people can get an idea of what Martin's like. So if you think the South is bad, just come to Martin. They put the South in South Dakota. It's like South Dakota just shit all over this town. It's one of those small towns where everyone likes to gossip. And I do mean gossip. So if I could mentally paint a picture of what Martin's like to you, it's like that movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape, where they have that one water tower on that one main street. Yeah, that's like Martin. I remember back in 2015, I got the whole town of Martin thinking McDonald's was coming. And I was at home and I found an app that said, "You got owned." So you make up a fake news article, and if they're dumb enough to click on it to read more, then they'll say, "You got owned." So the more I looked into it and I seen it gives you the option to make your own post or share one that was already made. And I saw one that said, "Channing Tatum caught herpes from Miley Cyrus." And obviously these are fake posts. So you make the article really interesting. And if they click on read more, and they'll say, "You got owned." And I saw a post that said, "In and Out is coming to Gallup, New Mexico." And I was like, good idea. I got to share one for Martin. But I was thinking, they don't know what an In and Out is. So I start thinking everyone knows what McDonald's is. So I put that as the headline: "McDonald's is coming to Martin." And I copy and paste an outside of a random McDonald's on Google. And then I start making outrageous wages, like $20 an hour. And this is back in 2015. And then for the manager, it's $35 an hour. Assistant manager, 30. And I'm thinking like, okay, if they're smart enough to realize that this is too good to be true, then yeah, they deserve to get pranked. So apparently, my coworkers were all surrounding their phones at going, "Oh my God, McDonald's is coming to Martin." About a week later, I can still hear people gossiping. Yeah, I heard they're gonna build a McDonald's here. At the little casino, I heard some of the girls were saying, "Yeah, when they build that McDonald's, we're quitting here and we're gonna work at McDonald's because they're making like $20 an hour." And that joke went on for a year before people realized that I created the post. So every now and then on my Facebook, I wouldn't always post, "I wonder if people are still waiting for McDonald's to come." And only a few will get it. But it just shows that in that little town, I couldn't scratch my ass without people taking notice of what I do. I remember as a kid, if the fair came to Martin, all they would have is one little bouncy house. That was it. I was like, wow, what happened to the rest of the carnival? And my sister would be like, that's it. That's the fair. It came. And then it went. And the guy who's running the little bouncy house, you could tell he doesn't want to be here. Like, damn, this fucking town is boring. These little shits are pissing me off. These bitches here ain't putting out. And if it ain't the bouncy house, it's one of those booths that have those corn pushers. And that's it. That's the whole fair right there. And if you're lucky enough to win, your little prize might be those colorful feathers that either yellow, blue, and they have that little, I want to say roach clip attached to it because that's what it became. And that was your prize. And I remember they would have the hayride. And my grandparents would be like, look, go over there, go ride it. I didn't want to because I was embarrassed. But they make me because my little cousin would want to ride it. So I had to go with her. I see some of my friends from school there and they're like, hey, what's up? Your grandparents make you ride this? I'm like, yeah. My parents too, because my little brother wanted to ride. So we're riding around that one main street up and down, being pulled by a horse. That's the hayride. So that is my memories of Martin. They ain't good memories though. In this next story, I call it gratuitous filler. Now we'll get to that in a little bit. I know when I see something I call bullshit. I can't help it. I just do. And I know all of us, deep down in ourselves, we all have a bullshit detector. So when we see something on the news, read it in the paper, we automatically call it bullshit. So I tell John, you know Martin is a small, boring ass town when the front page story is about a bird. And he starts laughing. And I'm reading it and I'm thinking, they're making this shit up. Because I'm reading an article and it says this beautiful, exotic, majestic bird flies through town. Nobody ever seen it before. Nobody knows where it came from. You know, they're trying to make it sound all mysterious and shit. And I'm like, bullshit. I call bullshit. Nobody in this town is wondering where the fuck this bird came from. That's why I call it bullshit. So you're telling me everyone in this town is a professional bird watcher and they know every bird that's coming through town like, hey Polly, hi Petey, oh you want a cracker? Oh you're just passing through? Okay. Say hi to the kids for me. No, nobody ain't doing shit like that. So the next week, John brings it to my attention. He says, have you seen the paper? And I'm like, no. He starts laughing. He says, that bird's on there again. So I grab the paper and I start reading the article. Now, the owner has found his bird. He was wondering where his bird was because he let it out of his cage. and it flew away like some dumbass. Me personally, if I had some rare, exotic, majestic bird, I wouldn't let it out of his fucking cage because it might not come back. And that's a waste of money. So he sees the bird in the paper, calls the paper, supposedly, has it returned safely, and I call bullshit. I call it a gratuitous filler. They had to meet a deadline, they had to fill in a slot, they didn't have nothing to write about him, her, whoever it was. So he's like, I got an idea. Can I borrow your bird? So he writes a story about a bird. Because this town is so small, he can't be writing about Billy Bob fucking a sheep because it's nothing new. The whole town already knows. They need something new, something fresh, something hot off the press. And that is the best that they can come up with. And then the next time I see the front page news, it's a picture of a frosted up windshield that somebody took. And once again, I call bullshit because the article says, notice Jack Frost's artwork. Notice the designs. And I'm like, the fuck? You seen one frosted up windshield, you seen them all. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here.